Alright, now that we have our box all assembled, what we can do is go ahead and start doing the bottom. I've already cut it to width and to length, and that's again going to sit inside this rabbet that we've cut on our sides. If you notice, all I've done is, this is our AC plywood, and I went ahead and I just hit the big stuff with 120 and 180 with a palm sander, and then again 120 and 180 on the bottom. Okay, so you want to sand this, but you don't need to spend a lot of time. If you want to do 220 by hand, you can. I guess if you end up hitting it with 120 and 180 with a palm sander, that'll be fine. So you'll want to place your good side facing down so that when we open up our chest, you actually see the good side, not the bad side. Okay, and it should fit fairly easy into your box. So here we have bad side facing up, and we have the length is pretty good. Okay? So there's not really any gaps up top or at the bottom. If you notice here along the side, it's pretty tight, but it starts here at the bottom. It's a nice tight joint, and then it gets a little bit wider, and then up top it gets tighter again. So what that's telling me is that this side actually kind of bows out a little bit. Okay? And you want to make sure that it's nice and tight on both sides. So what it's telling, like I said, is that it bows out so that when we assemble it, we're going to want a nice tight joint. Now, if there's a gap on the bottom, it's not necessarily going to matter because, again, we have that rabbet on the underside, which will kind of help hide this joint. So what we want to do is we actually want to take our leg assembly and set that up on top. Okay? And the reason why we want to do that is so that when we nail it, again, like I said, there's this bow here, we nail it in the finished position. Rather than having it nailed kind of in the relaxed position, if it's bowed like my side is here, when we go to put on our leg assembly, it's not going to fit, or it's going to be a tight fit. And if it's a tight fit, then what's going to end up happening is you'll probably end up blowing out the corners of your leg assembly. So this part will probably take a little bit of finesse, and you want to double check to make sure that, again, if you have one side just a little bit longer than the other, that you're putting obviously the long side with the long side and the short side with the short side, so you don't, again, blow out your corners. So here I have my assembly, okay? It's all dry fit together. There's no glue on here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 4 penny finishing nails, and I'm going to put 3 along the short side, so 3 along the short side, and then 5 along the top. Now I can really only get to a couple of the corners, or wherever the spots where I'm actually going to nail. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with a couple. I'm going to take off the leg assembly and then finish nailing. Okay? Okay, now that I have the majority of the nails in place, you can go ahead and pop off my leg assembly. And I'm going to go back and finish these later, but just for time's sake, what I'm going to do is when you place your nails, And you want to place them about a good 1/4 inch in from the edge of your side, of your bottom. Now, the reason why you want to do that is so that you don't end up splitting the bottom of your boards, the actual bottom piece. When you place that in though, you want to place it in at a little bit of an angle. Okay, so again, I want to try and hit that rabbet in that material. If I go about a 1/4 inch in and I go straight down, well, I really only have an 1/8 inch material between the open space on the inside and the nail. So I want to end up angling that in a little bit so that it ends up hitting the material. Not too much, so that if I angle it too much, so it doesn't end up coming out here. So I want to try and, again, start in about a 1/4 inch from the edge of my side, or my bottom piece, I should say, and then end up nailing it in about an angle, so it follows about that degree. Okay? So that's all I would do is, again, I would go ahead and finish nailing these down all the way, and put again 5 on the long side, 3 on the short side.